Tomato can is a term from the fight game, and it means punch drunk. It's a term from the sport of boxing, where a fighter over time has had too many shots to the head, too many punches to the head, and they become punch drunk. And when they become really punch drunk, they would be termed as, hey, he's a tomato can. So I reference it in 2022 to the digital dementia crowd, the checked out, walking zombies amongst us, completely addicted to their so-called smartphones, to the point where they're literally sleepwalking, businessmen, fathers, husbands, literally sleepwalking through life, the walking dead. And those are 2022, our tomato cans. And I like to shoot a video once a week with my latest tomato can updates. And trust me, there's no shortage of footage in today's society. So, nonetheless, yesterday was a large tomato can day for the McLeans. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, Sunday afternoon at the Naples United Church, Emery had her piano recital, which was a fantastic day because it was the first time in over 2 years that the piano students had a live recital. And the United Church is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It was a gorgeous day, and it was wonderful to see all these young children get the opportunity to jump up on that stage individually and play that beautiful black grand piano in front of friends and family and grandparents. So yesterday, Emery's teacher wrote on a piece of paper at her last lesson, and I'm positive that she did it for the other people, and really a wonderful person. Her name is Linda, and she's a lady who's probably in her mid to late 60s, and she's been doing this a long time. And Emery goes to her once a week, and this is her third piano teacher. I love Emery having different coaches, especially high quality ones. They all bring something different to the learning experience. And I believe in that diversity of learning. So it's been the case with Linda. She does a great job with Emery. She's old school in her principles. She's firm, and she's, serious about the half hour. A good teacher. And yesterday is a really big deal, of course. She has probably 15 to 20 students that all go up on the stage and they play their song for 3 to 4 minutes max. It goes by in the blink of an eye. But it's a great experience for the kids because they're all nervous and they're all excited, and it's great to do it live in person. So you would think that this is, an experience that on a Sunday afternoon, a gorgeous day at the church, you think that you would have, mom and dad present, mentally present. You think you would have grandma and grandpa mentally present. You would think, you would have most of your students present, etc., etc. So let me set this up for you. Tomato can day in Naples. So I felt really bad at the end of it for these amazing kids it's not hard to tell, especially the ones that had worked extremely hard, because they get up there and they nail it. And it doesn't matter that there's pressure, they get up there and they nail it. Hay is in the barn. The hay is in the barn. Perfect practice makes permanent. And you could tell the kids that have put in the time. And for most of them, this was the case. Great job. And just a really big deal. So Linda, the piano teacher, told us at our last lesson, she even wrote it on the piece of paper. She said, be at the church at 1:45, no later than 1:45, 1:45. The recital starts at 2 o'clock. So in typical McLean form, Kristen, Emery, and I get dressed up being a key thing. We're heading to church, we're heading to a recital, you're setting the tone. Emery has a beautiful dress on. She has her hair done. Krista did her hair, and she feels very, very, very good and very proud. And we head over there, and we're there half an hour before. So we're there at 1:30. And there's one other family that's there with us. And we find our place, because this is a large church. We find our way, and you know, being early breeds confidence, because you find out where you're supposed to be. You get in your best seat. You're in a seat that you can see, and your child is more confident now that they're early. There's time to decompress and focus. So we were the second family there at 1:30, 30 minutes before. So over the next 30 minutes leading up to the 2 o'clock start, the parents would bring the children in, and some of the kids, some of the boys had, like suits on, and there's this one kid who had this black suit and he had a bow tie on. The kid, sharp kid, badass. And as soon as you see mom and dad, you understand why. And this kid's standing there, and he's got the bow tie on, he's got the crisp white shirt. He's about maybe 10 years old, 11 years old. And he's got his books under his arm and his shoes polished. And he's standing there, and in walks another child, same age, maybe a bit younger. And he's in an old t-shirt and shorts and flip-flops. And he's got no book. And of course, he's almost late. And his mom calls over the teacher, and she says, "Oh, we didn't know that he was supposed to dress up. We didn't know that he was supposed to dress up." So it wasn't her fault or the husband's fault. They just didn't know that you would dress up when you're coming to a church, or that you're coming to your child's piano recital, or the fact that it was on a written piece of paper circled with the time at the top. So I feel really bad for this kid, because he's maybe 10 years old. He seems like a really terrific kid, and he doesn't have his books with him. He goes and sits down at the front. The teacher has the seats assigned, and he's been sitting there for maybe 5 minutes, and Linda walks over and she says to him, "Where are your books? Like, where are your piano books?" And he just puts his hands up and he says, "I don't know." She goes, "You can't really play in the recital without your books." So think about this child. This is a person, he's nervous. He seems like a terrific kid. And in the time he's been there, he's just got there in time. He's dressed like he's come from a camping trip or from the pool, and he doesn't have his music books. And all his mom can say is pull the teacher over and say, "We didn't know that he was supposed to dress up." She could have added, "We didn't know that he was supposed to bring his music books to the recital." So Tomato Can 101, parents completely frazzled, checked out, digital dementia. And of course, both with the cell phones, both looking up and down, both, having a hard time even finding where to sit in the church. Just an energy of anxiety, just this is what losing looks like. This is how losing is done in life. And I feel for that kid because he seems like a terrific kid and he did an okay job. So next tomato can up is Linda gives the tomato cans an extra 5 minutes. And this is something as a hockey coach and as a employer, as a businessman, I never give anybody 5 minutes. I start my world trainings a minute early at 10:59 a.m. If I have a webinar, I start a minute early. If I have a team meeting with my hockey players, I start 1 minute early. If I have a meeting with my employees, I start 1 minute early. In fact, I use it as a test to test whether I can trust these people, whether I can trust my people, whether they can be trusted. So I use punctuality as a huge indicator of, do I want you in my world? Do I want you working for me? Do I want you playing a sport for me? Do I want you in my world? And it's a great suffering fool's test because fools are late. Fools are constantly late. Fools show no respect for other people's time. And fools need to be cut, curated out of your life. And if you're a fool, shame on you. If you can't be somewhere on time, if you can't be somewhere 15 minutes before, then you're late. And you're setting an example for your children, for your wife, for your grandkids, for your employees, that you can't be trusted. You're a fool. You're sending a message to a person like me that you have no self-discipline and you have no time management skills. And I will never do business with a person like that. I will never buy from a person like that. I will never hire from a person like that. And I will never coach a person like that. Fools, tomato cans, are always late. So there was no shortage of fools yesterday afternoon. Linda, God bless her, gave everybody 5 minutes extra. She's a kinder, gentler woman than MJM. And she went up on the stage and she stood there and she said, just beautifully dressed, of course, old school. And she introduces herself and she starts to tell a little bit about the recital. And the door, which is about 50 feet behind us, we're in a small room with the piano up on the stage. Nice, small, intimate room. And as she's talking for 2 minutes, just to welcome everybody, to say we're going to get started, that door, which was directly to the outside, in other words, sunshine comes flying in, noise comes flying in, the door never stopped opening and closing for the 2 or 3 minutes she was on stage, introducing herself, explaining what the children have been doing over the last month preparing. Just pathetic. Door open, door closed, door open, door closed, door open, door closed. And to Linda's credit, she just smiled and continued on, but distraction after distraction. And I felt for the children who were sitting up front, who were getting nervous and anxious and excited because just constant distraction at the back. This is 5 minutes after 2 o'clock, 5 minutes. They were supposed to be there. We were supposed to be there at 1:45, and this is 2:05. She's graced them 5 minutes, and at least 25% of the parents are coming in now. 5 after 2 at a piano recital. At a piano recital where there's one child at a time sitting up at a grand piano. Distraction matters. Distraction matters. So I'm sorry to report that door never stopped swinging for the next hour. And every time it opened, it made a loud sound. Every time it opened, the sun came in. Every time it opened, there was a mother with a stroller, with an infant or a toddler, or the best is the dad, Goofy, coming in late. So Goofy wasn't able to come with his wife and child. In most cases, Goofy had to come by himself late. So it's a Sunday afternoon. You've got two young daughters, as an example, up there, and they're about to play, and they're 10 and 12 years old, and mom's there in the front row with a brand new baby, which is a handful at a recital, because the baby is not going to sit there quietly. And from there, all of a sudden I noticed this guy walk in. The two girls actually, by the way, were first and second, so they went up and played one. The next one went up and played two. Fantastic job. So I watched this guy come in the back door. Big guy, 250 pounds, big guy. Cell phone, you know, the whole deal. And he tries to find his seat, and he's looking around. This is during the recital. Other children are now playing up on the stage. And he finally sits down, bull in a china shop, and he's looking up at the front. He's looking at the front row where the kids sit. And he's trying to figure out, you know, he's looking for somebody. And then he sees and he waves. Well, here's the thing. He missed both of his daughter's performances. Both. He got there at 10 after, and it started at 2:05. You know, Linda graced him with 5 minutes, but this tomato can of a father, okay, didn't come with his wife. She was sent ahead with the two girls and the baby. And they got in there. They were, to her credit, were early, and they set the whole thing. And they, you know, she was in charge of the whole thing. Here's this lady with these two girls, 10 and 12, and she's got the baby. And then Goofy, the tomato can, walks in right after, and what does he do? He stumbles around, and he tries to find out what's happening, and then he realizes he missed both performances. How do you explain that to your two daughters who have practiced for 2 years for this recital? 2 years. And you couldn't be there, you couldn't manage your time. You know, are you running the country? Are you curing cancer? Like what happened on that Sunday afternoon that you couldn't accompany your family? Are you separated? But what I'd love to hear the excuse of why you were 10 full minutes late and you missed both of your daughter's performances. So then this tomato can takes it up a notch, right? He can't sit still, he can't be alone. He's completely addicted, digital dementia. And he sits there for the next 50 minutes, because it's an hour for the recital, and he never, ever looks up from his phone. So he's missed his kids. He doesn't help out with his wife, who's sitting a row in front of him. He doesn't help out with the baby, who's a handful, and she's up walking around. And he sits there on his phone for the next 50 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever the hell he's doing on a Sunday afternoon on his phone. He's watching videos. He's on a gambling site. This is what his priority, the tomato can's priority, is gambling and videos in the United Church on Sunday. You say you have competition in this world? Bullshit. You have no competition. If you're not doing exceptionally well, that's your fault. You have no competition in this world. You have no competition in business, in marketing, as a husband, as a father, as a community leader. We have no competition. So, a few more tomato can moments in the Naples United Church. I felt so bad for most of these children who they had to stand up when they were introduced. And Linda, the teacher, would put her arm around them. She seems like a very loving person. She loves these kids. I mean, she has a passion. And I love teachers with passion. In fact, coaches and passion, if you don't have it, you shouldn't be anywhere near teaching or coaching or consulting. And she puts her arm around these kids when they come up, and she personally introduces them all. She knows all their first and last names. And they look out into the crowd, and at least half of the parents, and shame on you, grandparents, are on their phones looking down during the recital. During the recital, all you see is half the people looking down, you know, the light up on their face, and they're completely checked out. Zombies, drones, just completely checked out tomato cans. So here's the solution to all this stuff. And I have a controversial opinion because I do the opposite of the soft as shit society that we live in right now. I have rules and principles and values now that guard against the tomato cans so that they don't get in my world, they don't get in my business, they don't get in my personal life. And when they do, I cut the rope, I use the swift sword, and I curate tomato cans out of my life. They could be people, they could be bad habits, they could be vendors, they could be merchandise people, they could be employees, they could be new associates or friends, whoever. My antenna is always up looking for tomato can behavior. When I see it, I act swiftly and I eliminate that person or thing from my world. I suffer like Gene Simmons, the Kiss band legend, Gene Simmons. Gene, how do you run 300 different licensing companies? Michael, I suffer no fools. I suffer no fools. Amen to Gene Simmons of the rock band Kiss. So the problem with Linda, the piano teacher, and I was sitting there taking this all in yesterday. Once again, I'm the only father who left his cell phone at home. Krista had her cell phone because she was going to videotape it, which she didn't have to because they videotaped it. But apparently every other parent had to stand up and videotape it. That way they don't get a chance to actually look and be present. They're just pushing their phone in front of their kid's face when they're sitting at the piano, even though it's live streaming. So the problem with Linda, her coaching, is she suffers fools. And God bless her. It pains me to watch teachers and business owners and businessmen suffer fools, because most do. When you have to tomato can proof your world and your business. And here's an example of what Linda could have done yesterday, what yours relentless would have done yesterday. As I said earlier in this video, I do not grace people with 5 minutes or 2 minutes or late or any of that stuff. If you're not, I start my meetings 1 minute early. I start my world building webinars and trainings a minute early. If they're at 11, I start at 10:59. If you're not on there, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. In fact, I'm there to work with the men that are on time. But I take it a step further. In the real world, where we have locker rooms, where we have meeting rooms in our offices, where we have, where you have physical, rooms, I lock the doors. I have always locked the doors. I learned that secret a long time ago, and I've used it to this day to my benefit. I lock the tomato cans out. So yesterday, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., during the live recital, it never ended. One after another, parent bringing their child, bringing their 1-year-old, strollers, dad coming separately, grandpa coming in on his cell phone, shuffling around, even a cell phone going off right behind us on cue. Boom, got it. There's the cell phone ring. Linda, first of all, didn't stay at the start. She should have walked to the back of the church at exactly 1:59. 1:59. She had written these people. She had told them. She had She had written it out on paper and sent it home with each child. Be there at 1:45, no later. So anybody that wasn't there, okay, was not there at 5:02, I would have walked to the very back of that church and I would have locked the door. And here's the other thing I learned. I always put one of my strongest people outside the door for the event. So if I'm having a hockey meeting, I would have my trainer, Tristan, and she would just say, anybody that showed up late for one of my locker room meetings, she'd be like, I don't think you should go in there. And like the tomato can they are, they'd have to sit out with their bag and wait till the meeting was over, because they've chosen not to be part of the team. They've chosen to be late, okay, and they're not part of it anymore because they're late. And if you're not in the meeting, well, you can't help us win. You're not going to be playing in the game. You're going to be nailed to that fucking bench, or you're not going to be playing at all. So this is how you handle tomato cans in our world. People that can continually show disrespect for your time and for the event and everything else. People that, fools. So Linda should have went to the back at 5:02, shut the door, locked the door, bolted the door, and put out one of her strongest people to stand outside and say, look it, don't be knocking on the door, don't be pulling on the door. The event has already started, so just sit your ass here, you're late, and wait till it's over. And what's the difference? Because these people have already missed in a lot of cases their child's performance, or they're so late that they've messed up the order. So my daughter was supposed to go 7th, and it's on the list. It's on the piece of paper. It's in the booklet, okay? Well, Emery ends up going 4th because 3 people, 3 kids at 2:05 are still not there. Their names are on the chair. She's sitting beside 3 empty chairs. So 3 people, she's going, so, I mean, this rattles any kid, not my kid, but it rattles most kids. And she's like, I was supposed to go 7th, Daddy, but I went 3rd. And I'm like, great. The hay's in the barn, so she's never rattled, right? She's gone through so much in practice, and she's prepared so hard that none of that stuff Goofy doesn't bother her. Tomato cans don't bother her, but for most of the children, it does. It's an insult. So Linda should have went back, and she should have locked that door at 5:02, and she should have started her performance and put a person out there. And at the end, okay, one by one, and I've been through this, these tomato cans would have had to come up and apologize. There wouldn't have been, oh my God, they apologize with the excuse, right? So when I used to run my team meetings with my hockey teams, I would do a video session for 20 minutes and no interruptions, the whole thing. We start early. My best players are in there. We're ready to go. And then I would walk out of the locker room and I would not even speak. I would not even give the 1 or 2 people, if they were late, and this only happened a few times because this is how you stop this stuff. This is how you correct this stuff. And I would not even talk to those players. I would let them stew for the next 3 to 4 hours. And I would tell the trainer whether they're going to actually play or not. And if they dressed, well, they sit on the end of the bench. They're nailed to the end of the bench for 3 to 4 hours. After the game, they have to explain to their mommy and daddy that they don't have the discipline to be on time, or they don't have the discipline to dress properly. And they have to actually explain to somebody their tomato can behavior. Here's the thing. In 7 straight years of coaching, kids 17 to 21, nobody was ever late for a meeting or a game twice in a whole season. Nobody was ever late for a meeting or broke dress code or curfew ever. Not twice in a row ever. So holding people accountable for their behavior works if you've got the balls to do it. And I have the balls to do it. This is my world, my rules, my world, my terms. And I suffer no fools. Linda could have done the same thing yesterday. We could have sat in there in complete solitude and listened to those 15 kids that were there on time. We could have listened, in solitude. We could have, everybody could have been present. And then at the very end, she could have unlocked the door. And unfortunately for the children, there would have been 5 or 6 of them that, she would have said, I'm sorry, but you were over 20 minutes late. You were over 20 minutes late. And I know a lot of guys watching this video, you're too soft to instill rules in your life. And this is why you live a life of quiet desperation. When I choose not to suffer fools, I choose to set boundaries. I choose to set rules and principles that I follow. My world building guys communicate. They do all their homework assignments by fax, because millionaires and billionaires have a fax machine. Millionaires and billionaires communicate by writing things down. Millionaires and billionaires don't tweet. They don't text. That's not how they do their study. They sit and read real books and real reports and real newsletters, and they take physical notes on pen and paper. Billionaires and millionaires journal. They think in solitude. They shut off their phones, and they think and they write and they dream and they set goals. So I make my guys, lots of them millionaires, do the same thing. My God, Michael, how could you ever? Are you kidding me? This is how the millionaires and billionaires, they have fax machines, and that's how they communicate, by written word, not by texting or thoughtless emails or any of that other nonsense. So you can set up your world any way you want it. You can set your business up any way you want it. But 99% of businessmen who are living a life of quiet desperation, they just choose not to. You choose to be a victim, a volunteer victim, instead of being a leader. Like the late, great General Norman Schwarzkopf said, when you're put in a position of leadership, lead, and build it your way. But I've never, ever been a person who tolerated what I saw yesterday. Another thing that Linda could have done that I've done for a lot of years is I immediately, as soon as people are coming in, please shut off your cell phone. Not silent, please shut off your cell phone. And I would have taken it a step further, because my players were not allowed to bring their cell phones into the building. My employees were not allowed to physically have their cell phones in the office. My hockey players, they had to leave them or lock them away, because most tomato cans no longer have the discipline or the willpower to not use their phones. So Linda could have said, okay, turn your cell phones off. But most tomato cans are so addicted. They're so addicted to their dumb phones that they can't. They would have to be peeking, they would have to be looking, they would have to be texting, they would have to be sending grandma photos, they'd have to be taking videos, they would be gambling, they would be doing everything but what they're supposed to do. So yours relentless fell for that for a while with my hockey team and with my businesses, and then I learned what works in the real world, and I said, screw it. I took them away, and they signed contracts, and they had to hand in their cell phones, and they got them back at the end of the day or on break. And that worked just like a dream in sport and business for me. That's how I had a championship business. That's how I had a championship hockey club. That's how I have a championship personal life. And Linda could have taken it one more step, where on that piece of paper that she sent home that explained the dress code, not read, that explained the time to be there, 1:45, not read. She could have put on there, please leave your cell phones. Don't bring your cell phones into the church. Now that would have sent these tomato cans reeling, because then there you have the excuse that, well, I want to videotape my child. Are you kidding me? We're live streaming. We're live streaming this. There's no need for you to bring that in. You could be doing what some of the performers now, some comedians, some rock and roll stars, some musicians are doing now on a small scale. where they don't allow cell phones any longer into their shows. And there's lots of comedians that have done this, where they have those containers where they take the person's cell phone as soon as they come in with their ticket, and it's locked into this whatever plastic thing, and then they get it back when they leave. So literally the comedian is up there, they're 100% present. People aren't stealing, aren't videotaping and stealing the content of the show, which is natural now for most tomato cans. Go to something, steal it, tape it, steal it, post it, and in some cases sell it. So a lot of smart, badass comedians and entertainers are getting smart to this and saying, you know what? I have a no phones rule in my shows. Takes balls to do, very, very effective. And of course, they've been doing this for about 2 or 3 years. And what do? You get a better show. You get people that are present. You get people that are listening and watching and enjoying. And you curate the tomato cans out of your following. So Linda could have done that as well. She could have said, I'm sorry, there's no cell phones. Just one last thing about parenting, tomato can parenting. There was a girl that walked in ahead of us, and she would have been probably 12 years old, maybe 11, maybe 12. And she had a cell phone in her hand, and she's walking in, she's got a beautiful dress on. She's one of the kids going to the recital with her mom. And she's walking into the church just ahead of us. They were the people that were there first. And she's got her cell phone. And she's 11 or 12 years old, right? And Emery's walking just behind her. And I'm sitting there going, are you joking? First of all, your 11-year-old or your 12-year-old has their own smartphone. Does she pay for that? Does she pay for that toy? Does she pay for that gadget? So, you know the answer to that. So this kid walks in, and all the kids sit in the very front row in the chairs. Like there's Jim, there's Emery, there's all the kids' names on the chairs. So I look up as we're waiting for this whole deal to happen. And we were there for half an hour before it even started. And here's this kid, not a parent, not a grandparent. Here's a kid who's about to go up. She's like I think she's number 2. She's gonna go first or second in the recital. And this is just minutes before the recital. She's sitting in the front row and she's on her phone. She's on her phone. So you have 15 kids that are looking at their music books, they're visualizing like Emery, they're thinking, they're relaxing, they're, breathing. Here's an 11 or 12-year-old kid, okay, on her phone. And she's about to go up and play the piano. And I'm just like, wow. If I had been Linda and I had been standing there beside her and I saw a child with a phone, or if I had saw parents with phones, or if we were ready to start and I saw people on their phones, I'll tell you, it would have been Sunday, bloody Sunday. And I'm sorry. Well, no, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. This is exactly the kind of no BS leadership that we need in our world today. If you're suffering fools, if you're suffering these tomato cans in your business, in your personal life, then you have no chance to win. At the end of the day, at best, you'll get home late and you'll be just exhausted from playing defense, playing not to lose with all these tomato cans. If you have employees that are allowed to carry their cell phones, if you go out to date night and you take your cell phone, or you have your cell phone at the dinner table, or you work at night, you're not home till 6 and then you're on your phone. If you're buried in your phone, your children look up and what do they see? They see a father and a husband who's completely living in your phone. Then when you get to the end of your life, you're gonna be that guy, that quiet desperation guy who says, where did the time go? That's gonna be you. That's gonna be you. You're that guy. You're the guy who was, where did the last, the years really went by fast. Or my God, the time flies. Where did it go? It went with you buried with your face in that phone. That's where it went. You weren't present for your children. You weren't present for your wife. You weren't present for your business. You couldn't sit and read. You had the tomato can ants in your pants syndrome. If this is your life, change it. If this is your life, change it. And the addiction is so strong, on purpose, by the way, on purpose, that if you're going to make the change, it's going to take relentless discipline and structure. You're going to have to start leaving that phone at home. You're going to have to start making sure that you take breaks from that phone. You're going to have to start locking that phone away after dinner. You're going to have to start setting rules where you don't check your phone until, say, 10 o'clock in the morning, if you're ever going to own your morning. So that's it for today. Michael McLean, NoBullBook.com. If you have not got a copy of my book, you can easily correct that problem by going to the link below, NoBullBook.com, and getting a copy. It's $20, How to Not Get Your Ass Kicked in Business and in Life. One of my big time rules is the ultimate power move. And the ultimate power move is doing the exact opposite of every other goofy and tomato can. The other 99% common, ordinary, mediocre, depressed, broke. And that has a lot to do with cell phone use. Doing the complete opposite. Understanding that everybody is dead ass wrong and doing the exact opposite. Look around, see what people are doing, like yesterday at the church, at the recital, and doing the exact opposite. I was 100% present. I didn't have my cell phone. My wife, we're completely present. We're early, the whole thing. Fantastic day. And that's the message, and that's what I want my daughter to see, is a present father, present husband. And also, I have my world building program. If you're interested in being part of the next one when I open it up, it's closed right now. There's a link below, badassmillionaire.com/apply. badassmillionaire.com/apply. And one last thing that you'll really enjoy. I did a free webinar training for you. It's badasswebinar.com, badasswebinar.com. I think there's a link below, but there certainly is in the PS in the email. And it's my 10 insider secrets for building your own badass millionaire world. It's a free training. You don't have to pay anything. If that's your cup of whiskey, you'll love this training. It's about an hour and a half. And it's my 10 insider rules for building your own badass personal and business world. That's at badasswebinar.com. So there's some stuff for you. Until tomorrow, 2 words, guys, that here endeth the lesson, and 2 words that change my life, and 2 words that will change your life. Be relentless.